Hi there, and welcome to another exciting session of training provided by Quicksoft. In this chapter, we're going to cover another interesting topic, which is customer profile classes. Customer profile classes gives us an opportunity to group customer based on various parameters that you have, and it's very useful and can be used in various stages in the application. We'll learn it how to use and in the application as we move along. Okay, so let's start. Yeah. So customer profile class gives you ability to group customer with similar. Yeah. The important thing is similar. Yeah. Because you're trying to group variety of customers. So there has to be similarity which you want to group. Yeah. It can be credit worthiness. Yeah. How good the customer payment profile is. That's very kind of whether we can give a credit to customer up to certain amount and whether they all fall in the same umbrella or not. Business volume, how much business volume we are having with this customer. Yeah, simple example could be, let's say we have a customer with whom we have a lot of particular type of item which we are selling to the customer. Now if other customers are also of similar category, let's say 1 million in a year, so we want to group customer by the credit worthiness and also by the business volume. Typically I've seen in organization they want to look at customer who are high value. Yeah, those customers who give us most of the business, and you want to do pay special attention to those customers. Yeah, to make sure they never have any concern of giving business to you. So want to control by high volume, low volume, high credit worthiness. You can be selling a lot of item to a customer, but if they're not paying on time, that's also not a good idea. Yeah, and also payment cycle, whether it's 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So you want to create this various parameter at profile level. So when you create a new customer, depending upon which bracket the customer falls into, you just assign a relevant profile. And once you assign the profile, then all the necessary attributes which are given at profile level will be automatically assigned to the customer. Yeah. So this is very useful to do that. Each profile can have its own credit limit. We say, okay, let's have this group of customer. We only want to give them credit limit up to 100,000. Yeah, so that the moment they exceed that limit, they will not. There will be a credit hold, so that they cannot transact any further unless there is some manual intervention is done. This helps us to make sure that customer do not take too much credit, which we know it will be difficult to recover from them. Payment terms, as I mentioned earlier, you can set up payment of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days as per your uh, group of customers. Statement cycle, how frequent you're going to send statements to them. Yeah, so this can also be a parameter which you define at the profile level, whether they want customer one payment quarterly or monthly or half yearly. Yeah, so this basically helps them group in that level. Any invoicing related parameter which you want to set, discount parameter which you want to give. For example, if you want to set up some discount parameter 2% based on the kind of customer, you can set up those discounts here. Late payment interest, whether you calculate late payment interest for this kind of customers, this group of customers, you can specify here. Very few example, I'm just giving you a simple example. I spoke about high value, low value. You can also say if customer are paying promptly, you want to give better credit terms to them. Yeah, because you know generally this group of customer, they never have any payment issues, any collection issues. So we want to create a profile simple one. I'm just giving a generic name, prompt pay. So this group of customer make payment promptly, so and we don't have any collection issues with them. Then there could be customer who pay late and we have to calculate finance charges on them. So you can call it late pay. Yeah. Yeah. Government, typically we also want to pay special attention to government customer, because if you're working in a geography, you have to make sure your government customers are attended to on time and there's no concern from their side. So they can be high critically customer call, like defense customers and all that. You can call government critical and government normal. So these are few profiles you can attributes which you can, which will help you classify your customer at more detailed level. And this is assigned to a customer level and also customer address level. So but whatever you give at customer address level, that gets precedence. If you don't give anything at address level, then whatever you define at customer level is used for your transaction purposes. Yeah, important point, whatever I've explained earlier is only for defaulting at customer level. Generally, when you assign a customer, you choose the profile. Whatever attributes given at profile level will be defaulted automatically to customer level. Most of the time, people don't change it because they want to make sure they can do certain things by profile level with the assumption that there are no cosmetic changes done at the customer level. But if you need for a group of customer, but for a specific customer you want to change some attributes, you can, because all this what comes from profile is for defaulting purposes. You can change it as per your need at the customer level. Data in customer profile class is grouped in various sections. So we'll be covering each section to understand what kind of data is maintained in that particular section. And at the same time, while I'm sharing the concept with you, I will also show you parallelly how this is done. So in a profile class, we need to maintain this information. You give a name to the profile class. Yeah? Like I gave you example about high value, low value, prompt payment, late payment. So we can give a various names as per your business requirement to your profile class. So the name has to be meaningful so that when you want to select, you should be able to select it correctly. Maximum size of the profile is 30 characters. Yeah, so you have to fit in your profile name within 30 characters. You can give a description which is longer than the profile class name to give it more detail, but I think most of the time you should be able to fit your profile class meaningful description within 30 characters. And also profile class has a status, active, inactive, or deleted. Yeah, so you can store depending upon the status of the class. If it is active, only active class are appearing in your customer window for selection. To define a profile class, under financial, search for profile class, then choose receivable custom profile classes. Yeah, you can search existing classes if you want to, or you can create a new one. If you want, you can copy from existing one, find and create a copy. If it is very similar, just want to change few parameters, you can find an existing file. Yeah, let's say for example I say excellent, I search this one and I can copy this one. Yeah, and then change only those fields which are required. You can also do that. In this case, we're just going to create a new one first. We give a profile name. I'm creating it for government customers. Description I can give same. You can change if you want to. We're creating a new one, so we just say active. So this is the initial section of your profile, which is generic for profile name, description, status. Let's carry on with the next sections. This section primarily talks about credit management of the customer. Yeah, you assign a collector. Yeah, so this is the default collector which you assign to this customer, who will be responsible for collections based on the due date from the customer. He'll be following up with the customer to make sure the payments are received on time, and he'll be responsible to be questioned that why the amounts are not coming on time. You also assign a credit analyst. Yeah, credit analyst is basically in a bigger organization where you have credit management department. And yeah, they also have credit analysts assigned for each customer. And the role of this credit analyst is to make sure minimize the risk of financial losses by not giving customer a credit too big. Yeah, sometimes you keep giving a customer keep asking for your goods, and then you keep giving it to them on credit, and if you do not control the credit risk, yeah, then chances are you will be selling too much to them, and if they don't pay on time, there can be big impact on or to your business as well, because collection is as important as selling to the customer. Credit classification is also part of credit management. To classify, again, we are now grouping customer based on the credit rating and credit classification for them. So this helps us identify which customer belongs to this classification. If you look at classification here, there are various classification you have, yeah, which you can classify. So in this case, let's say collector, we choose, yeah, let's say I assign it to this person, and this is my collector responsible for collecting the money. And credit analyst, I can assign a credit analyst as well, who will be responsible for collecting, ensuring that the exposure is not too high. For classification, I can choose depending upon what I want to classify. Let's say I say high risk. Yeah, credit review cycle. So in a credit review cycle, this is basically how frequently you will be reviewing the credit for this customer. Depending upon your customer, you can set up the credit review cycle accordingly, and then you'll be reviewing it uh, that according to a period defined, so to make sure that within this period, how much is our exposure for a credit to a customer. So if you look at credit review cycle, we can choose annually, quarterly, semi-annually as required. Yeah, I'm just saying quarterly here. Next very important factor is what is the credit limit of which this customer can draw from us. Yeah, this is basically total amount of credit in this currency which customer can get from us. Yeah, this is controlled by, this is basically used by order management. When a customer is placing an order, system will look at how much credit has already been given to a customer. In case the customer exceeds this, so all new orders for the customer are automatically put on hold. Yeah, so these are in a way called credit hold. So basically system is controlling based on the limit given here, that should you be selling more to this customer or not, because he has already exceeded or already reached the threshold which you have set as the credit limit. If you let this another order go through and we give the goods to a customer, then customer will be exceeding the credit limit to them. So basically these are all carefully analyzed factors to make sure the credit is well managed before we sell any more goods. Let's say we set this one as 100,000. For me, we just put 1 million. Yeah. Next one is the order amount limit. How much a customer can order in one single order. Yeah, this is also we want to control that how much we can deliver to a customer in one order, because basically it's going to create more credit. How much credit will you want to give to customer by one order? Yeah, so whatever amount you set here, if the new order exceeds this amount, all new orders for this customer put to credit hold. Yeah, so in this one I want to say single order cannot be more than 50,000. So if the order costs more than 50,000, then that order and any new order after that will all be put on hold unless this is revised, and then credit management team will review it and then remove the hold as applicable. Credit currency specify a currency in which the credit check should be done. I'm using Singapore dollar. Tolerance. Now the tolerance amount decides up to, if you move the cursor, it will show you the message as well. Up to a percentage that a customer can exceed the credit limit before taking action. Credit limit is this much. If I say tolerance 10%, that means it will not give any problem unless within a 10%. That means he can go up to 1,100,000 up to credit. But if I say zero, that means the moment he tries to exceed this one, system will give them warning. Yeah, tolerance can be useful factor depending upon the credit worthiness of the customer. Generally, we know this customer is around this amount. Or sometimes $10 more, $50 more, $100 more. Do you want to put a credit hold and hold the ordering process? So you have to analyze accordingly and put the tolerance percentage in that context, so that there's no unnecessary stoppage in the process just because it's small amount. You may have a query why this is just a percentage, because percentage, if I say percentage of 1 million, 1% or 10% or 5% can be pretty high. Can there be an option to put amount? There's no option to put tolerance amount, but you can always put this in decimals. For example, if you're very picky about this balance, then you can say 0.05, 0.01, then it will automatically calculate accordingly. Yeah, but ideally amount could have been very handy, because if I just want to say this is my maximum limit, you can exceed 1000 more than this. Yeah, so then if I just 1000, then I put 0.001, but 0.001 for a credit limit is reasonable if you want to control. Yeah, so you have to just play with the decimal and calculation of with the credit limit to see what is the tolerance you want to give. Yeah, and in this example I'm not giving any tolerance. Next one is conversion rate type. Now because I'm giving my credit currency in this currency, so if your conversion, if the order entered is in different currencies, so which conversion rate type and rate to be used by the system before system decides to put credit hold or not. Yeah, so I'm just going to put corporate here. Yeah, next is expiration of set days. Yeah, so this is basically the number of days before a credit authorization expires. So in case there is a specific credit authorization is given for a particular customer, yeah, for a particular order, then within how many days that authorization must be used before that authorization expires. Let's say they give for a certain transaction, they allow a credit to be given to a customer for next 10 days, but that within 10 days that authorization is not used, then this will not be used anymore. All these factors which you see here primarily used for in the Oracle Credit Management module. Yeah, these are factors which are linked to customer but used by credit management to make sure when order management is done, and then during placing the order, credit management services are called to the module, calls are given to send the authorization before a order is passed through. Okay, these are not part of your receivable. You will not see any impact of these settings in your receivable. These are more of order management usage, because order management uses customer and customer is maintained within receivables. So we have to specify all these parameters. Last one is including credit check. So basically this option is by default is enabled, and when enabled, a credit check is performed when the credit checking service is called for a customer account. Primarily whenever an order is placed, yeah, and if credit check is enabled, system will automatically give a call to the credit management module to check the credit authorization for the customer, and if it is authorized, only then they are able to proceed with the order. And credit management looks at all these factors which are given here to decide whether to proceed or not. Next section is balance forward billing. Balance forward billing is basically when you want to send consolidated invoices to a customer. You could be generating many invoices in the system for your customer, but instead of sending them so many invoices, you can actually send them a grouped invoice. Also, in the previous version, it used to be called consolidated invoice. Yeah, so you can use this feature if you want to. So we can, if you enable this feature, this gives a warning that if you are enabling balance forward, then the payment terms will be removed. So you can set it accordingly. Choose yes or no. I think you can choose yes in this case. And what is the bill level? Yeah, so when a balance forward, as I said, is a consolidated billing. So what is the bill level? So you enable this option if you want to use balance forward billing for a customer. So if you want to use enable, if you don't want to use, don't enable this option. And choose the bill level. Yeah, whether it be consolidated account level or a site level. Yeah, because customer account can have multiple sites. Yeah, so you want to create the balance forward or consolidated invoice at site level or account level. You can choose accordingly. If you want at higher level, choose account. But if it's site level also, you have so many invoices, and as per customer wants separate consolidated invoice at site level, then you can choose site. Yeah, in this case I'll choose account. Yeah, and then also what is the bill type? Yeah, so these are different types you need to have, detail or summary. Yeah, if you choose detail, invoice line level lists the item description, quantity and unit price for each item on each invoice. Let's say I have 10 invoices. Yeah, each may have many lines. If I'm grouping those invoices to become a consolidated invoice, then in that invoice, if I choose detail, system is going to list each line of each invoice in that item. So basically invoice becomes one, but details are all as per the original invoice. If I choose summary at invoice total level lists only the total amount for each transaction. Yeah. For example, in my original invoice, I had 10 lines. Total invoice amount is 150,000. It will just create one line of 150,000 for that invoice. We also have an option called imported, but that imported option is not visible here because I've chosen bill level account. I have to choose bill level site for that option to be visible. Yeah, if I choose the imported, basically it's used for imported invoices. Yeah, it's an alternative way to group your imported invoices at site level for consolidated billing. Yeah, so only if you want to do site level, this option is available. At account level, you cannot do that. Yeah, basically you supply the value of billing number and then create your own custom consolidated format. So when you will go through this option, when you do the balance forward billing, you'll understand the difference in this one. So at this stage, I'm just going to use account and put this one as, yeah, detail level. Okay. Next, we're looking at payment terms. Yeah. So whatever payment term you set, let's say for this customer, generally the payment term which I choose is, let's say I want to give them 30 days. Yeah, so these are the only payment given here. So in this system, so I want to choose, let's say, end next month. Yeah, so this will be whatever date I create. When we go through payment term chapter, you get more clarity. But whatever payment term I give here, this will be defaulted for all the invoices for a customer. When you assign this profile to a customer will be assign this profile, and when the invoice is created, this will be defaulted at the customer level, defaulted at the invoice level. Discount grace days. So this is basically number of days after a discount term date that a customer can take discount. Let's say I've given payment term 30 and I'm saying if you pay within 10 days, I give you discount. But let's say customer pays by 11 days, on 11th day, should I still give discount or not? So if you put grace days 1 or 2, then system will allow discount to be available even within these days as well. Additional days above, beyond your discount terms. You can specify that. If you want to enable discount for a customer, then tick this one. If you untick, then discount will not be available for a customer. Override terms. Yeah. So basically check if you want to allow changing default payment term. When the system default payment term, can this be changed at the transaction level? If you allow, then yes. If you untick, yeah, then that means system will not be able to, user will not be able to change the payment term at the invoice level. This can serve as a control purpose, that we otherwise very difficult. If you people change at the invoice level, then very difficult to control at the profile level. You want to make sure people, the data is consistent to your profile. So when you do any analysis, you change the profile, the transaction levels are consistent with your profile settings. In this section, we're going to cover topics related to receipt matching. Yeah. So match receipt by, as you have seen in system option also, we are given match receipt by. So we also provide at profile level what should be the parameter for match receipt by. Yeah. So whatever we give here, system also always look for the parameter given at customer site level, account level, this is a precedence, logbox level, or at system option level. So last option is system option. If it can't find anywhere, it will look at what is given at system option. So match receipt by, you can specify, let's say the number which I'm going to provide, you match it to the transaction number. If you remember system option, we given match receipt by 1, 2, 3, 4. The system tries to follow one. If it can't find, try the second one, third, and fourth to see whether it can match. We also provide an auto match rule set. So what is automatic match rule set? It determines how receipts are applied automatically and transactions recommended for manual application in order based on similar site, profile, account, and system option. What does auto match rule does? Basically based on the data given in your receipt processing when you are importing receipts, yeah, it will look at the parameter given for receipt matching, and based on the rules defined in auto match, this is a definition screen will be covering later. Rule defined, it will try to recommend the invoice which can be applied against this receipt. It looks at various parameters of customer, due amount, and what number you're trying to match. You can specify that. In this case, these are various defined. I'm going to use the default, which is an auto match above 90% threshold. Yeah, so basically when you give create a receipt, even if you don't give any details, system will try to auto match with the details given and try to recommend the receipt applied against which invoices, and then you can choose to actually apply against a specific invoice. Automatically update receipt by, for example, if I'm giving transaction number as a match receipt option here, but whenever auto recommendation tries to apply this, most of the time it's applying against, let's say, purchase order number. So then if that is the most frequently automatically selected recommendation, then if I choose this option, the system will change this setup to match receipt by or purchase order numbers next time. So that by default it follows what most frequently is used. Yeah, auto cache rule set, it basically determines how receipts are applied to invoices and when what sequence. Yeah, so in this case I'm choosing this one here, oldest transaction first, because I want some system tries to auto apply. Look at the oldest invoice, I want to clear the oldest invoices first. Next one is the remainder rule set. So basically when you apply a receipt to invoice, so what should system do with the leftover receipt which is available because receipt is partially applied to the invoices? Yeah, if you specify some action, system will take it, but otherwise if you don't specify any actions, it will mark it as unapplied. Yeah, so if you look at remainder rule set, these are very similar to auto cache rule set. I can still say apply to the oldest invoice first. So whatever it applies based on the data given by you, and then for the remainder also it can try to apply based on the same rules. Now application exception rule set. So the exception rule manages over and under payment after receipt application. Yeah, let's say if you have a receipt for $100, yeah, and then you apply on an invoice amount was 90. Now you have left over $10 as a receipt. Now for $10, what do you want to do? Yeah, this is what you specify in application rule set. We can create a refund if you want to send to customer, or in case it's an over invoice 110, and when you apply receipt for 100, or $10 is still outstanding with the invoice. So how do you want to handle that scenario? This is given at the application rule set level. We'll be learning about this when we go to application rule set. Auto receipt include disputed item. In case there are some disputed items, invoices or your debit note which are there, which are disputed, marked as disputed, do you want to include those in the application or not? If you tick, it will include those. If you don't tick, then it will not include those in the application. On the face of it, remainder rule set and application rule set look very similar. Yeah, so but when you go to those particular sections to get more clarity about this one, then it will become more clearer. Next section, we're talking about statement and dunning. Yeah. So send statement. If you want to send statement to a customer, you tick this one. And what is the statement cycle? Yeah, you can choose monthly, quarterly, yearly, depending upon what you want. Yeah. And then send credit balance. So you tick this one if you customer with the profile class, even if they have a credit balance, yeah, should we still send a statement to them? That generally we send statement to them primarily to remind them about making payment, but if the customer has already given overpayment, do you still want to send them the statement? Actually, I would still choose it to be sent because the whole purpose of statement is to make sure that my system and their system are reconciled. Yeah, so I would still send them. Yeah, then send dunning letter. Dunning letters are basically reminder letters to the customer if they overdue payment. Typically, dunning letters are when you choose this one, then you also sign dunning letter set, which basically says what is the first letter, second letter, third letter. Each letter has a different severity, which we severity of language which we put in the letter. So if you choose this one, then you can specify preferred contact method. Yeah, how do you want to send this one by email, fax, or print? Statement. How do you want statement to be sent to them? Email, fax, or print? You can specify that. Yeah. So print is basically contact method. They're expecting letters to be sent to them. Yeah. If you want email or fax, then you can specify. Similarly, for statement, you specify how statement will be delivered to them. Invoice grouping rule. This you can choose. This will be used for whenever you're using auto invoice to import invoices from order management or from any external system. This is a default grouping rule which is used to group invoices because you have so many lines which are coming. How do you group into respective invoices? So you can specify what rule to choose. Next is the flex field, which we don't need to look at this stage. So these are all the profile class which are primarily related to credit section, terms, receipt matching, and statement. Now we look at the late payment section. Yeah, for late charges, once we're done with this tab, then we go to late charges. All these parameters in the late charges are primarily configured to ensure that how the system is going to calculate charges. So basically, if you want to calculate charges, enable the late charges in the system for the customer. So this profile will have late charges enabled. Yeah. Then in the charges and reduction section, we specify late charges calculation method. Yeah. How the system calculate? Yeah. Late payment only, overdue invoices only, overdue invoices and late payment. Yeah, every daily balance is primarily used for balance forward billing where we have consolidated invoices. It uses the every daily balance for that. But for non-balance forward billing, it uses, you can say, should on what system should calculate the late payment, yeah, the finance charges. Late payment only calculate the late charges based on the number of days between the payment due date and the actual payment data. This method uses the paid amount as the overdue invoice amount when calculating a late charge. Yeah. Next one is overdue invoices only. So it will calculate late payment only of the overdue invoices. And the last one is overdue invoices and late payment. Typically, if you look at these three options, right, last three options, they're talking about when to calculate finance charges. Let's say I I have an invoice which is due on 10th April. Yeah, but this customer gave me on 12th April the payment. So he has given me 2 days late, so which is called late payment. So if I'm running the process on 15th April, should I calculate interest on those 2 days which he has paid late? Yeah. So many organization ignore that thing that at least he has made payment, so let's not calculate. But some organization do that. So depending upon that, choose the option late payment, overdue invoices, or both overdue and late payment. Let's choose overdue invoices and late payment in this case. Yeah. Next is charge reductions. Yeah, how system should reduce that late charge calculation amount. Yeah, so if there are credit item against the customer, yes, there is an overdue amount, but there are credit items against the customer or disputed item or credit and disputed item both are available. Should system look at both before calculating? Let's say overdue invoice is $100. Yeah, and I'm calculating late payment on that, but there's already outstanding credit memo which is due to some reason is not applied yet. Yeah, for $50. So basically, in totality, the overdue amount is 50 only, not because other credit note is already lying for $50. Yeah, so it's always good to put charge reduction so that if there's any credit memo, the system should assume that will be applied later, which is not applied yet. Because had you applied the credit memo, then this invoice overdue amount would have already reduced. Okay. Yeah. So then next one is late charge setup, which you specify how late charge will be calculated. Yeah. So when the late charge is calculated, what should system do? Yeah, select what document to be generated when you do late charge calculation. Document can be an adjustment which is applied against an invoice, yeah? So which basically inflates invoice amount, but through adjustment activity. Yeah, you will learn when we do transaction what is an adjustment. Yeah, debit memo is an additional uh, transaction which we call debit memo, or you want to create an invoice. So you can choose either of these three types of document to be generated out of finance charges. Typically, I've seen is generally done as an adjustment to the invoice amount, but many organizations expect to receive a separate invoice. If that is the expectation for your customer, then you have to choose it at debit memo or invoice. Yeah, I'm choosing adjustment in this case. You notice when I choose adjustment, payment terms is not selectable because adjustment is applied on top of invoice. Yeah? So that due date, I don't need to give any separate due date for that. But if I choose debit memo or I choose invoice, you will have a payment term. Typically, if you choose debit memo or credit memo, the payment term which you will be choosing will be immediate. Yeah, because for late payment it's already applied against the original invoice which is late. So they generally charge either give a very small payment term for making this payment or mark it as immediate. Specify interest calculation formula. You want to use a flat rate, simple or compound formula. Specify. I'm just choosing simple in this case. Interest calculation period. You want to calculate on daily basis or monthly basis. I'm choosing monthly in this case. Yeah. Use multiple interest tiers. Yeah. Or if you want to maintain multiple interest rate depending upon the severity of the delay, then you can specify interest charge schedule, which we'll cover later. Then if you take this one, you have to specify it will use the interest charge schedule to identify what rate should be used to charge interest. You can specify receipt grace days. Yeah, so this is basically number of days after transaction due date to begin calculating late charge. Let's say if I give 3 days, that means after 3 days after the due date, you will still not charge me any interest. Interest days period, if it is daily, you put 1. If it is monthly, you put 30. Yeah. So next section, we have to give the currency setting. So add the currency, you have to add the record for each currency on which you want to calculate the interest charges. Yeah, I'm entering Singapore dollar and the rate conversion rate to be used. And if you want to set up some minimum receipt amounts, you can specify, yeah, so that it doesn't calculate unnecessary charges on small amount. If you, but these are all optional. You can leave it blank if whatever invoice you want to calculate charges on that. Then in this area for this currency which you have selected, you are specifying late charge rates and condition. Yeah, these are all primarily minimum balances which you want to set up. Yeah, if you are specifying any minimum balance, this one system will take care of that in calculation. And if it is not up to minimum, it will not do the calculation or creation of any documents. But if you don't care about this one, you can leave all this blank. Yeah, so you can leave all this blank and then just go into this section which is interest charge type. Yeah, yeah. So you can choose whether you want to go to use a fixed rate or fixed schedule, fixed amount of or interest charge schedule if you want to use. Yeah, if I'm going to use fixed rate in this case, I'm just giving 3%. Yeah, and then if you choose amount, this section will come. If you choose schedule, then this section will come. You have to choose it which schedule you're going to use. For penalty charge type, I'm going to use also fixed rate. I'm putting 3% as well. So once I give this one, so basically my profile setup is complete. Yeah, I can save this one. My profile has been saved. Just to review, I have there two section, profile class and late charges. Yeah, so in the profile class, we're given all these details, and in the late charge we're given the we enable the charges. For some classes, you may not want to enable late payment charges. Yeah, because many I've seen for many customers who are high value customers, you don't want to offend them by sending them late payment charge for a small delay. Yeah, so even though many organizations have this functionality, but I've seen not seen other than the government organization, I've not seen many organizations in real life practicing the late charge calculation. So we'll save and close. When you save and close any change in profile, so system basically asks these questions. Yeah, should I update wherever this profile is used? Imagine if you have already existing profile you're changing. Yeah, so system gives you generic message. Whatever changes you are going to save, apply changes to new profile only. If I basically create any new customer from going forward and use this one, then apply to those. Apply changes to unmodified profile and merge existing unmodified profile. If there's any customer to whom we have assigned this profile and there's no changes has been done at customer level, should I apply to those only? or apply changes to all. So that means wherever this profile has been used in any customer, yeah, apply to update all those profile settings. Yeah, so this is useful if you are making profile level changes and you want to reflect to all the customer where this profile has been used. So then you choose the option accordingly. In my case, I don't have any this profile assigned to any customers. I'm just choosing apply to new customers only. And I say okay. My profile has been created and saved. So in this chapter, we have learned what is Oracle Fusion Customer Profile class. We have seen various uh, sections of settings which you can do at customer profile class level and which will ultimately affect your system behavior and functionality. Also, important point to understand is that all these profile settings are for defaulting purposes at customer and customer site level, and then whenever defaulted, if you really need it, you can change it as required. And when you do any transaction based on a customer profile class, this will be affecting on your transaction again for defaulting purposes, and then you can change it for your transaction. Okay. So with this, we conclude this chapter. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and happy learning.